Good morning, folks. Welcome to Something More Than Gibberish. This is our 40th episode with Jeremy Hickson, or Jack underscore Val Trades. Hopefully you can hear me okay. Good morning, William. I am actually in Bali and it's 6 a.m. Saturday morning here, and it's already like a sauna. I was hoping that the dawn will rise and give me enough light, and I think I've been in luck. So, looking forward to featuring Jack. It's been a while coming, so looking forward to featuring his work, getting to know more about his writing journey through into poetry, and he's just recently published his book as well, so really looking forward to this. I hope my audio is coming through. As I said, I'm outside, resort in Bali, like a sauna. Already at 5 a.m. it was like a sauna, yeah. So we'll see how we go, make this work. I'll bring Jack up, and I'm hoping also that Gemini can join us. As you all know, she's been impacted by the recent hurricane in Tampa, Florida. So she's been without power, but fingers crossed she might be able to join. She messaged me this morning. She said she's just hoping the power will hold on, and also the internet coverage has been pretty bad since Hurricane Milton, but fingers crossed. Okay, let me see if I can bring Jack up now. Jack, I'm trying to bring you up. Hey, how are you, Jack?
Hi.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I'm just trying to situate my shenanigans here. Oh my gosh.
As I was just saying, I'm hoping that Gemini can join us because she's been impacted by power outages and internet outages from the hurricane in Tampa,
Right.
in Florida. But fingers crossed, she can join us. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Um, Really glad we could finally line this up.
Yeah.
And also, congratulations on the recent publication of your book as well.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, what a journey. I feel like, towards the end of last year, I was like, maybe I could get a book published. And then in the beginning of this year, I was like, yeah, let's go for it. And to actually have it manifested here in front of me, and I've been taking a break from the Instagram scene, um, really kind of trying to focus on writing. I'm working on a novel, fiction novel. It's been a few years in the works, but having this completed, I'm, on to the next project. So, yeah,
Congratulations, man. A novel as well. That's awesome.
yeah, it's exciting, but also a little bit daunting, but definitely exciting.
Um, let's We'll get into the poetry book in a minute, but
Mhm.
now that you opened up this can of worms, tell me a bit about Are you allowed to give us a bit of insight into the novel?
Sure. So I'll talk a little bit about well, I feel like the story itself, it's a coming of age story, but it's over the course of um, this individual. So far, it seems to be that it's across the course of his whole life. Um, each kind of age, each bracket of life offers him new insights. that he carries through to the end. And so that seems to be what's happening. I'm maybe halfway through the story so far. There's a lot of stuff to flesh out still. But the process has been that I either typewrite on my typewriter here. Okay, if I can turn around the. So I typewrite or handwrite, my first draft, and then as I'm working on that first draft, I'm also taking that and putting like the first draft and copying it over into a Word document. So first and second draft are kind of happening simultaneously, um, and it's definitely interesting. And then I'm going to go through and give the second draft a good read, take notes on, you know, the biographical details, all the plot points, make sure that there are no continuity errors, third draft, and then see where I'm at that point. But
Now,
now that I have an idea, I feel a little bit invigorated to continue. Oh, Gemini,
good
stay.
morning, Gemini. Our
Can you hear
plan,
me?
yes, we can, and our prayers have been answered. Thank you. I'm glad. Fingers crossed for your internet holding up and your power holding up. We were hoping and praying that you could join us. Welcome,
Nice to see everybody.
Yeah, very good to see
Jeremy.
you, Gemini.
Just
Likewise, my
before
love.
you, just before you jumped on, Jeremy. Sorry, Gemini. A lot of G's and J's here. Jeremy was just saying he's working on a novel now, and he's done his first, or doing his first edit to the manuscript on a typewriter. Unpack that for me. Number one, I love it because that's really old school going back to the typewriter. I don't even see a typewriter in this day and age, but I love the fact that you've gone to that. But tell me, what pointed you towards a typewriter? Is it that nostalgia?
Um, yeah, I think that it's for me, there's something about technology that generally I feel like I'm being like watched and listened to. So handwriting and
Huh?
typewriting gets away from, that, and I get my most honest thoughts onto paper with no worry about like, potentially what happens with, technology generally. Like if it gets shared or if it gets, whatever, like all that. It's not a concern. It's here. Then when I go and put it into a Word document, it is what it is. I'm opening it up to the world, but I just feel like it helps to declutter. And I was thinking too. I've been connecting with writers out here. I moved to Denver recently, so I've been connecting with some writers out here and talking to them about their processes. And in talking to another writer who also handwrites first and then goes into type, um, you know, for me, there's a distraction element to having, you know, um, like typing immediately into a computer. Like you have the internet, you have all the things right there, so many tabs, and I've fallen into that before.
Yes.
Um,
Guilty.
so, so, with that awareness of self, learning from, past mistakes, and even with handwriting stuff, there have been times where I'm in a frenzy, I'm writing really fast, and then I'm like,
You
what are
can't read
like,
your own
what
handwriting.
is this? Which I actually learned that War and Peace, um, whoever it is, Tolstoy, yeah, War and Peace. That book, he couldn't have written it without his wife. His wife was at times the only person that could read his handwriting. So without Tolstoy's wife, War and Peace does not get published. It doesn't exist. She was like, she may have even potentially just written parts of it,
More than likely she did.
right? So here we are. But yeah,
Oh
these things
my.
led me to let me try to typewrite. And also, I got this toy. My mom went through the work of finding an antique seller who fixes up typewriters to get this for me. And so, I was like, how do I put it to use and make it meaningful? when I use it. And so, yeah, it's a retreat into the past. It's, a very clear and focused and, intentional item made for one thing, for typing your piece.
I
Yeah.
Man. So what type of typewriter is it?
It is a Remington Rand Model 1. It's the first portable typewriter, I think, or one of the early ones. And so yeah, I have a case for it. I can, pack it up and bring it to the park or wherever I want to go.
No.
So,
I have a poet here. His name is Juan Speaks, Juan.
mhm.
It's Juan dot Speaks on Instagram. Connect with him. Juan does typewriter poetry. He was just at the Riverwalk in Tampa day before yesterday, and that's what he was doing. He was talking to people about their experience in the storm, and he was typing a poem right there.
Yeah.
Like he types it, he signs it, and he has an antique and he packs it up to, he has a little table that goes with it. Oh my God, I'm so
Hmm.
excited for you.
Okay, let me take a note here.
Okay.
Juan,
that
Juan
that
dot
is
speaks.
amazing.
Yes. And I'll
That
send it
is amazing.
to you again afterwards.
Yeah.
But he is so amazing. The way that he dresses, the
Mm-hmm.
hat, the mustache, it just feels like a period. He's like they plucked him out of a certain period and brought him here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh.
I-
Yeah,
I
no,
think
I'll
you like
definitely
him.
I'll have to connect.
You will. And tell
interesting
him I
that
sent you.
i- interesting this conversation came up because when I first started writing like 35 years ago, I was traveling around and I didn't have access to computers, so I was to handwrite my work. And the number of crossed out lines, a word, it was hard for me to decipher what I'd scratched out, what I'd wanted to keep, and put it all together.
Yeah.
And then, of course, once I made a home somewhere, I was back to a computer. And very recently, and I mean just a couple of weeks ago, this friend of mine who wants to do a collaboration, she wrote her part in handwriting and wanted me to write my contribution in handwriting. And
Yeah.
I've gone, what the hell, really? We stepped back in the dark ages here.
Yeah.
But
Penmanship starts to matter again.
yes. So now I have been struggling to put. Normally, I would have ripped up my verses or my stanzas pretty much within a day or two. It's been 2.5 weeks, and I've only put about 5 or 6 lines down on pen to paper.
Mm.
Whereas if that was on a computer, I probably would have finished it by now. So that's really interesting. This conversation came up. But now you have inspired me to actually follow her bidding and write my contribution to the collaboration in handwriting. Uh, yeah. So, yeah,
Yeah.
thank you for that. Yeah.
No problem. And also just handwriting, there's definitely a flow. Like get slowed down in your
I,
thoughts, and I think
I
that
like that.
for me to clarify, It's just like it everything that comes out, I feel is more intentional when it's handwritten versus
Yeah.
typing. I'll look at it, the next day and I'm like, what is this actually? But if it's handwritten, I feel like there's less of that.
Yeah.
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 Mine
Maybe,
comes
maybe
out
that's
so
me.
quickly
Mm,
that it doesn't. If I handwrite, I end up with three different sections and three different poems coming out at the same time.
mm.
And it drives me crazy because it's like, then I have to pull this line from there because it belongs there. It's like somebody took three jigsaw puzzles, did this, shook them up, and threw them in the air. And wherever they landed, now you have to go find them. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But when you write it down though, I found that so if you're concentrating on one particular topic or feeling or memory or experience and you write, sometimes you find that when you write, you don't write in order. So
Hmm.
you go back and read, say, wait a minute, that doesn't feel like it goes. And you take the stanzas and you flip them around, and you take the lines and flip them around, and then they make there's more clarity in writing it down and ordering your thoughts, basically. So I am very excited for you. Juan is going to like love this when you tell him the type of typewriter and like Okay, two of y'all need to meet.
ID.
You have someone just
Hi,
as excited
Mage.
about typing as you do. Like it's just,
Hmm.
it's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, question before we get onto your poetry book that you've just published.
Hmm.
In the novel, is there an essence of Jeremy Hickson in that, in the character there, in the characters?
I would say that there's an essence of me in every single character in that book. Uh, and I, the thing that is, it's like interesting for me, I feel like I live with multiple like kind of lenses that I can sift through um, to like kind of view just different things. I'm like, how would, somebody who's more conservative view this? And I try to like put on the like, um, traditional American like laissez-faire, like free market ideal, like afraid of government kind of hat on, and then I'll come at it from a space of like, myself more progressive, like realize like recognizing the need for regulation, but also seeing that regulation can be like a real hindrance. Like all these different things, like whatever I'm looking at, I feel like I have like all these different viewpoints, and I feel like the novel for me is an opportunity to sort through where do these views come from, like who's the character and like the type that this viewpoint comes from. And for me, like I don't know, yeah, I feel like it's an endeavor in parsing apart like where I learn different things that I just so naturally understand about the world, and also
Mm.
just like the imaginative and creative part of getting to take bits and pieces of other people and throw them in there. Other writers like Dickens, his caricature kind of thing is something that I'm trying to embody. But I feel like, yeah, definitely I exist in and throughout this book.
That's
That's
awesome, man. That
beautiful.
really is. Now, let's get on to your poetry book right now. How is that doing, and are you happy with the outcome of uh, the poetry book?
Yeah, yeah, I feel like it was such a whirlwind getting it published, and I was just like so nervous. I was nervous about so much going wrong, and really it was a pretty smooth process, start to finish. I have to give
Right.
a shout out to my editor, Jolene Thibodeau. She's,
Jolene.
yeah, she's so great. Was definitely very patient. Um, just insightful, compassionate and sympathetic to me as a budding writer, kind of like this being my first thing that I was putting together to get published. um, she would very earnestly like kind of like, I think you need to look at it again because I'm like, whatever it is, and I would take that and really be like, oh, yeah, I was getting emotional and I was getting worked up because I hadn't really sat and thought about what this is and what it's doing, and it's trying to do a lot. And I would rework and come back, and we would both kind of like have a little cry session, um, you know,
Oh,
just kind of seeing the work that we were doing together come to life and things expand and grow. It was a really nourishing kind of experience. So editing process was great. My publisher, Red Green Books, Marissa Prada, definitely. I mean, the quality of this book is like next level. I feel like the publishing process was as easy and straightforward as it could be. What was asked of me, what I needed to give, to make it happen. And yeah, the book just turned out, I feel like it turned out great. Let me see if I can find a page here that's like a little bit more fun. Because I have uh, tried to do some fun stuff with text, it being, you know, printed versus I'm used to kind of just reading. Oh,
Now,
Wait. Yeah.
while you've just brought up a interesting point there that I think we should highlight to a lot of our listeners. Number one, Jolene through as well did start her publishing company, and she was quiet for a while through after COVID and so forth. She was recently instrumental in helping Zooks publish his book as well. And I know Prada has been very involved with the Red Green publications and offered her help to people who do write good pieces and have not had that opportunity or didn't know where to start in finding a publisher. So my shout out to the communities, folks, if you've got great material and you really are hard set on publishing and you don't know where to start, there are people within this community. Jolene is an amazing person, and I know Prada has been involved in this publication domain for quite a while and has offered her help. Also, Samuel, I can't remember his handle. He's
Samuel
also,
L. Rain.
I think so, yeah. He's also quite involved in that area. Reach out to these people to get your work out. At least it's a starting point. It'll give you guys give you the doorway and the direction to even start in finding somebody to publish. So there's a lot of people within this community who are there to help. Don't let that stop you from getting your work out, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, there are a couple more in some of the other communities here on Instagram. So there's AJ Houston, and
Yes,
if you want advice, oh gosh, oh wow, I can't remember his name.
I'm glad.
DC Native Son. DC Native Son is another one. He'll give advice. Sometimes he jumps on live and gives advice about publishing. And E-Baby. So E-Baby
Yeah,
poetry as well. So those are people that I've interacted with. Some of them I've met in person. Some of them, others have published through them. So you have questions and you want to get some research, go ahead and do that. And when you're ready, you have more than enough people to help you.
yes. So, yeah, there you go. You're right. AJ somebody recently published that gave a lot of credit to the help AJ gave them as well. So, folks, if you listen to this or watch it live, here's some doorways some insight where you can start to give you some direction. Reach out to them, speak to them all, and see what works best for you, and don't let that stop you. And that includes you, young Gemini. You've got a pile of
Really?
poetry in your head. That I remember
Okay.
when we
Wait, this is
featured
about
Robert.
Jack. This is about Jack. So Jack,
We
like
featured
Jack said,
when we featured Robert Cozzi, we had that discussion about Gemini publishing. So there you go, Gemini. I'm just reminding you there about that.
I
so
also
we're
Jack,
going
getting back
back
support
to
to you.
it.
Jack.
I support the message. Publish.
Jack? We're going back to Jack. So, as important as it is to get your work published, the person that you choose or the company that you choose is important. So
Mm,
you want to have an experience similar to what Jack has, someone that kind of matches your personality, that understand what you're trying to do or wants to help you clarify what the reader sees when they read your work. So that was always my fear in publishing, that I would send my book out to an editor and they change all of my poems. Like even now, like I'm saying it, I'm twitching. But the experience that you had, Jack, thank you so much for sharing that because that was a very intimate experience with an editor. I wish all of them could be like that, but at least have someone in the same mind frame or the same wavelength so that respects your work and respects you enough or cares enough to not dissect your poetry.
yep. A, a,
Yeah.
a point to that, Gemini, is when you send your work to an editor as a soft copy, they'll suggest some edits, but you have the ultimate choice of accepting or rejecting that edit. So don't feel like your work's going to be butchered or bastardized. At the end of the day, you have that choice uh,
Yeah.
as to what goes in. So don't let that deter
And
you.
I feel like too, yeah, this being my first book, it was interesting to be in a position where I have autonomy to decide whether I want to take suggestions or not. And
Yes.
it's empowering. It's a little weird, but once you kind of take ownership of like, okay, this was suggested, like I can see where it's like where this suggestion is coming from, or I can't see where it's coming from, and then doing whatever feels best at the end of the day for you. Like
Okay.
that's what I did with this book. Every step of the way, it was like, is my decision the thing that's going to elevate it? Is this other person's input the thing that's going to elevate the poem and elevate the experience as a reader? And whatever felt right was what I went with.
Yep.
Oh
Um,
my.
you know, and so you can have that experience, you can cultivate that for yourself, and you don't have to go necessarily with the first person that you talk to. You know, it's okay to be like, hey, can you give like read these poems, give me a few suggestions, go to somebody else, say, hey, read this poem, give me a few suggestions, see who feels, you know, better. I feel like that's, you have to do what's right for you, you
Yeah.
know, and there's a way to do that.
Yeah. So Jack, before I'm dying to get into some of the poems, particular ones in this book, but I've got to know the question: where did it all start? What inspired? I know you studied in this area as well, and you did your BA
Yeah.
in literature. But what made you start putting pen to paper or typewriter?
Yeah, so it starts way back. Really, it starts in childhood, but it starts when I was a teen. Um, I I was very angsty, and you know, trying to work through where that was coming from. And I had, you know, throughout middle school and high school, notebooks that I would journal in and write poems and song lyrics in. Um, and one day, one of those notebooks got discovered by a teacher, did not understand the material that was in there, and you know, it kind of blew up and became a thing. Um, so I put down writing for a bit, and then I came
Oh
back to it
my.
in my 20s. Um, you know, I think that I was maybe 19, yeah, like 19, 20 years old. And I was like, I'm gonna kind of try to do this poetry thing. I'm gonna try to do it. And after running into 7 or 8 scams and sniffing them out very early on, um, you know, I kind of got put off of it again. And I was like, oh God. So I went to school thinking, okay, you know, maybe I can make something happen here. Originally was going for psychology, but then wound up having an English teacher who awakened me to the world of literature and what it actually was doing. Um, and you know, got my got my degree in English and Sociology from Rutgers University, bachelor's, um, and then went to uh, you know, kind of just continued writing after graduating, not really knowing exactly what was going to come of it, but just writing. And that's most of what I do now is just writing, not really knowing what's going to come of it. Some stuff may turn into short stories that I think is for this novel. Some stuff may turn into scripts. Um, but I just kind of leave everything open and try to stay fluid with it. Um, and yeah, that's kind of what happened with this book early or at the end of last year. There was, you know, I went through a pretty rough breakup, and just had to remember what it was to like want to live for myself and had to reawaken some old dreams. So I took out, you know, the 13-year-old, I took him and I sat him down next to me, and I took the 20-year-old and I sat him down next to me and I said, what are your dreams? And they said, we want our we want our writing to be able to live. You know, and so uh,
Mm.
that's that's it. And the beginning of this year, I just kind of hopped on that chariot and rode it.
Yeah.
Here I am.
Now,
That's
my
beautiful.
my comments weren't rollings, but I just noticed a comment. Miss Betty had a question. Where do you get your typewriter ribbons from? Which is a pretty pertinent question because that really would be a challenge.
Yeah, I actually, and I don't know if they fit. I didn't take the time to take the to open it up and try them out. But I did get just some ribbons from Walmart. I know they have them on Amazon. I try to stay away from Amazon. It's the worst. Walmart is not much better, but Amazon is the actual worst in my mind.
Mm.
If I could find, a local seller, and I think that they probably exist on Etsy somewhere, so I'm sure that that is a thing. But I just didn't, it didn't occur to me at the time. I just wanted to get them and have them. So, um, yeah, that is the answer to that question. The big box store, Amazon or Walmart.
Said it right.
Yeah, yeah, not
Everything's
yeah,
like a jack in the box with everything in there.
yeah.
So,
I feel like a jack in the box. I'm like, what's gonna come out?
Oh my, I forgot Jack Mouse trades.
Yep.
I can't with you.
so
Oh, I needed that.
how did uh, the handle Jack underscore Val underscore trades come in from Jeremy Hickson?
Yeah, so the J sound, I was like feeling it. I was like, we don't need to go full different here. But there was apprehension, and I still have apprehension because I'm a little bit, um, you I feel like we live in a climate in the US that is, depending on what you believe and what you look like, you might run into some heat. So I um, didn't want to have my name out there. But then at the at the point when I was publishing, I was like, you know what? There are so many people who do this, right? They just, their name is their name, and they are who they are, and they go about life, and it's fine. So I let go of the fears, and I decided to embrace, Jeremy Hickson as my name on my book. But, and at the same time, I like the name Jack. It comes from the idea that I'm, I'm a poet, but I'm also like a novelist, but I'm also a musician. I play piano and flute. I used to play tuba and, bari sax for a year in jazz band. Then I learned bass trombone for jazz band also, and I learned bass clarinet for a quintet that I was in. And I bought an
Mm.
oboe to teach myself oboe after graduating. And I bought, or one of my friends brought home a bassoon during like winter break, when she came home from college. So I taught myself bassoon over like winter break. I, did color guard for, well, I performed for, over a decade, and I taught for something like 7 years or 8 years. I was a director for a few years of a color guard. So it's like
What?
dance stuff, marching band, and then they have the indoor version of it, which is just the color guard, the dancing, the flags, the rifles, the sabers with like pre-recorded music. Um, and so like movement has been a big thing. I like to draw. I like to do a lot of stuff. So there's that jack
Of all
of all
trades.
trades, you know.
I love
Um,
that.
and yeah, so that's kind of the name. It was born out of a little bit of fear, but a little bit of wanting to also create a new persona. I also like have a gamer personality. He's Bowser, and so when I'm online with my friends, I feel like I just have all these different names, and I don't know. It feels right for me to be like flowing, and for me to respond to Bowser or Jack or Jeremy or JJ or, hey you or uncle or whatever, like I am whatever people want me to be. And also, I create these names for myself. I create the
So,
persona for whoever, to use. So
so
yeah.
on this show, how would you like us to refer to you, as Jeremy or Jack, or
I think
what's your preference?
Jeremy or Jack is good. I think
Okay.
either one, and to use them interchangeably is fine. Whatever strikes you in the moment. If you have a preference, if you prefer to recognize me as Jeremy, that's cool. If you prefer to go by Jack, that's also cool. I'm fine with both of these on the space. in the
Look,
space.
I'm tempted to call you Bowser because I'm intrigued now.
Yeah. Honestly, if you want to call me Bowser, you can. I would maybe bring out a little bit of a wilder side. Because Jack and Jeremy are definitely more tame than Bowser. He is a late night
Oh my
gremlin.
gosh, because my kids play like what's it called? You probably know that.
Mario Party, Mario Kart, Super Mario
No,
Brothers.
it's a fighting game. It's like an
Oh,
army
Super
kind of,
Smash Bros. Oh,
Assassin's
Army.
Creed or something?
not Assassin's Creed, it's another one. They have
Gears
the
of War?
storm and something like that, but they play, and when they in there, I can't say anything. It's like they're not here at
Yeah.
all.
Yep. They're in the screen. They're in
Look,
that world.
you swear that my son's gonna get a Purple Heart for saving his sister. The minute he sees, I got you, I'm covering you. I'm like, what the first time I heard, I'm like, what in the world are they talking about? So
Yeah.
Bowser, I can see Bowser like being just kind of like totally different from Jack and Jeremy.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh.
Let's get into some poetry, Jack. I'm dying to hear some of your work. As whenever you've been on my lives, I've certainly enjoyed your pieces. They're always very profound and carry a lot of depth. So, uh, but also
Okay.
plugging to on the comments where people can get access to your poetry book as well.
Yeah, let me type that out here. Give me one
I can
moment.
type it
So,
for you.
okay.
So where can they
All right.
find you?
So, the you can get the book. It's currently listed as pre-orders, but it's no longer I have the book. I just haven't updated the link. But you can get it from www. Oh, God, start over. Restart. www.jackvaltrades.com. So that's JackValTrades.com. It's my handle without the underscores.
Yes.
Okay.
That's my website. There's a store. You can order it through there. I'll, give it a little. Is this? No. Well, I'll do this right now. What I do is I have this cute little stampy for my books. So
Oh,
if you buy a book, I'll stamp the page here. So you'll get a little, it says, from the library of Jeremy Hickson. Um,
oh,
and then, I'll sign right up in here, give you a little note, wishing you well or whatever.
oh! You just brought
So
me right back to school in the Caribbean with the library and the Dewey Decimal System because those prints, those stamps that they have on there, the Inco stamps,
yeah,
that indent stays on that page like forever.
yeah,
And you just gave me like I love it. I love the way this feels.
yeah,
Oh my
yeah,
gosh. Okay. No, you gave me all the feels with that, all the feels.
yeah.
Between the typewriter and the
I'm
stamp.
very about the tactile experience, the manual experience, if you couldn't tell.
Look,
I
I can
like to
Yes.
have a
almost feel the
Yes.
physical
bumps on the page
interaction.
right now. I could almost feel the bumps on the page. I'm
Mhm.
going to get your book.
I support
Starting
it.
this starting this feature with a view of your typewriter took it all down memory lane, man. It was really awesome. It really was, and very timely for me. As I said, I'm sort of challenged now to actually write a collab with handwritten. So there you go. You've really, it was very timely. Can we
Yeah,
get into
awesome.
uh, some of your work? Let's show
Yeah,
people why they should buy this book.
for sure. So this is one that I enjoy what I did here on the page a little bit. I had a fun moment, and um, I mean, I do anticipate in uh, like a few years down the line, going through these poems and doing even more fun stuff with the pages. So yeah, I'm invigorated. But this is what I got for this one so far. So um,
Oh,
like you've got like movement on the page. It's different. So I'm
It's
gonna
like
read
it
this. Here
was
we
like
go.
climbing stairs on that like second or third stanza.
Yeah.
Oh my. Okay.
A very vocal bird's erratic song cuts through the wind and my thoughts. Tone slices through, ice cold through tea. Erratic as aforementioned, ecstatic. Plight, flight, low croaks to shrieking whistles. Shapes singer's vessel before sight. Sound alone designs. On pitch-perfect black backdrop, iridescent trills, runs of blackbird shine. So true, die. Runs through feathers, dances there, alive. My skin and song have no such sheen. I feel a dirge by degrees in comparison. Still, motionless am I. Ride the waves, rolling my body, eroding anxiety. The river of tones washes hairs in my ear, caresses the drum, my heart. Poem.
The way you describe the night, pitch black perfect. When you said that, I had to close my eyes because I can actually feel it. And
Yeah, that pitch
that was good.
perfect black backdrop. Yeah.
Pitch perfect black backdrop. And then
Even that,
the words, oh, how you say it?
The
The
iridescent
sound,
trills.
the
Oh,
sounds of the words coming out
mm,
themselves. Pitch perfect black background.
mm.
Just that iridescent. Just okay. Go ahead. Sorry.
no, even the line there about the sheen on my skin, like the way you
Oh,
helps the, the
Rainier, one moment. Say something.
the
So start back over what you were saying because you froze.
oh sorry, yeah, as I said, I'm in the middle of Bali here, so my internet's a bit dodgy as well. Um, your enunciation, your cadence, the emotion expressed in the word, how long you leave it hanging really helps the the essence of the poem to come through to the people. I
Mm.
really love it's something that I've always loved in your recital style of recital.
Thank you.
You really
Your
do the piece
cadence is
justice.
beautiful.
Yeah. And your enunciation is really blends with the right emotion as well.
I appreciate it. Yeah. I
Exactly.
feel like there are people. Could you read with? I'm like, you don't understand where my energy is going. Um, because I feel like I got a lot of energy, but it's just a different kind. I appreciate you. I appreciate.
But the thing is that it's not so people don't understand the difference between energy and intention. So maybe they're used to slam poetry, maybe they're used to people who do performance poetry, but the intention and intensity in your work is bar none. Like
Thank you.
you don't need to shout, you don't, and even if you raise your voice, it only adds to your poetry.
Mm.
But you know when to add, when to bring up the tempo, because I've heard other passionate pieces from you, but this is an intense piece. It does not need any additional passion. The passion is in the intensity, and it's not meant to shake you. It's meant to to stir you, to have you feel. Your imagination just kind of like goes with the piece and just you carry us along. But no, don't listen to people. They don't know what they're talking about. Just
Yeah.
like that. Just like
So,
that.
yeah.
Uh, John Chance made a comment saying, "Oh no, a tank top! I'm leaving, folks, at 5 o'clock in the morning." Where I am right now, it was like a sauna. I'm sweating. I was sweating at 5 a.m. Hence the tank top. Uh, believe me, I would.
That's an excuse. He's been waiting for a reason to show everyone his tattoos.
No,
He's been waiting.
try,
And we
Yeah.
talked about this before. Now, where's Prada? We need to let Prada know that you're actually showing the
I'm a
tattoos. Like Prada
Yeah.
has been
Sort the
requesting
shoulders out.
for a
I'm a
while.
I'm a bit old to be showing anything off here. All right, trust me.
Oh gosh, here we go.
Seriously, I was praying, Jack, that the sky would light up because it was 6 a.m. for me because I'm only 12 hours ahead, and it was still dark at
Uh,
5:45.
uh,
It was just starting to dawn, and I had nowhere. My sons are asleep in the bedroom, so I couldn't exactly do it in there. And I'm trying to find a place here that's private enough. And seriously, man, I was sweating at 5:30 in the morning. It was just crazy. But carry on. It's not about me, but that was John Chance. That's why the tank top. Otherwise, you never see me in a tank top. But that is the reason, brother. Carry on, Jack. Getting back to that piece, that is second to none. Now, is that in the book?
yeah.
I'm assuming it is.
Yeah. I think that everything I'm gonna read is in the book. Because uh, hmm, yeah, I have no idea what I've been writing the last 6 months. I don't know what's been going on, so we'll keep it to what's in the book.
Awesome, awesome. So, folks, whoever watches this live or watches a replay, or when I do create the YouTube next week when I get back home, and also the podcast, whoever listens, folks. So, this is a good opportunity for you to actually hear the content of Jack's work in his recently published novel. Sorry, what was the title of the book, Jack?
Oh, yeah, the title of my book is Philosophy and Ontology. It's kind of broken up into four parts. So you have love poems, poems that are kind of like the beginnings of like what's going on here. Maybe I'll read one of those actually next. Then we have Ont, which is kind of like the experiential poems. I think that this last one is in that section.
Your psychology is showing
Yeah.
experiential.
And then and then we have ology, which is like a study of, myself in relation to like all of these things, love, knowledge, experience, and then kind of putting myself, relationally with the world, So yeah. Yeah. So that's the title of the book, the kind of idea behind it, this poet, his journey from the beginning to the end. And I do feel like, the speaker's voice, it isn't exactly me. Um, Glimpses of me exist, sometimes more than just glimpses, but um, yeah, it's kind of a carefully crafted story, I think, of self-exploration that is deeply personal, but also,
Some of it is
I don't know.
universal, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of stuff in here that it also, the love poems. Um, I think that people have asked me like, who is the person, like the lover, and I'm like,
All of
all of the
them.
all of them.
That's
Jack,
what a
Um,
good love poem is supposed to be. It's supposed to be, you're supposed to be able to take that person that experienced those feelings and make it timeless and make it um, not common, but make it to where others who are able to see themselves as the protagonist.
mhm.
And that is a good love poem. And the fact that they're asking you and it's all of them, it's beautiful.
mm, Jack, right from the very start of this feature, you have really shown us the authenticity of your being. I'm usually got a very good sixth sense with people, and I always sense that in you. But thank you for really showing the whole audience and your future readers the true essence of your soul, brother. You really are a beautiful human being, and it's something that should be showcased, not contained within. Because I think, in part, to me anyway, as much as I enjoy people's great work, knowing the person inside matters a lot. And thank you for showing that through to our listeners and your future readers.
Yeah, I appreciate the space, and without a without a safe space to open up on, this isn't possible. So, definitely appreciate what you do. You know.
Yeah. Also, Jeremy, this is only the first time, brother. It's not going to end here. As your novel comes online and anything else you want, and due to the way the archives only save like an hour 45, up to 2 hours max, and then I've got to do screen recordings and all to blend the videos. I'm trying to cap the shows to hour and 45. Now, if we run shorter time to showcase all that we want to do, I'm happy to have a part 2 as well. And also, when your book comes online and so forth, your novel, this is just the first. Don't feel that this is a one and only opportunity. This is Gemini, and I put this together to really give people that opportunity to really show themselves, to show their work, to show their authenticity, so that, like, somebody who's going to get the opportunity to hear you recite pieces from your book really knows already, hey, I really want that book. And not only do they buy it and not sit on a shelf, but they will read it and read it and read it, because poetry is something, like my own books, people like keeping it on the table. Suddenly they pick it up, turn to a page, and they read that piece. And then they might read that same piece a time later, triggering off different thoughts. And that, to me, is what poetry books are like.
Yeah,
And so, not just to collect dust on a shelf. So, yeah.
truly.
Your poetry, I'm going to hear you.
Good. I like that. And
You guys
also down. Oh,
both.
Go ahead, Jay.
yeah. So I feel like, in addition to a second edition, and before the second edition, I'll probably get an audiobook out there of this book of poetry. That is probably, a few years down the line. So
No,
it's
don't
not,
tempt me and tell me I have to wait. You can't do that.
yeah, but that's what it is. So for now, this will suffice.
Oh, the
And then
anticipation
at
is
some
killing
point,
me.
when I do get my beautiful, lovely, caramel tones out on Spotify, I'll be sure to reach out to everybody. Maybe that's actually something that I'll do. People
Now,
who
you guys keep
ordered books, I'll
breaking
like
up
shoot
for
them a
me, so
message
I'm
myself.
hoping that I don't drop out or you don't drop
Oh,
out. You guys keep spinning from time to time for me, and I think it's my internet here at the resort.
It is you.
Yes.
It is.
yeah.
And Chance had it right. It's the tank top. Chance had it right.
Yeah,
So
you
it
got to
is
Look,
cover
you.
up
I'm gonna,
those arms.
I am
Yeah, the
going to shut this
tattoos.
guy up. I'm going to go in and grab a t-shirt just to shut Chance up, and I'll sweat here, and I'll just die in sweat just to please Chance, right? So,
No, you're fine. You're fine. Chance is okay. He's okay.
Yeah, you're
oh, thank God.
fine. You don't have to, yeah.
I
You don't
don't
have to
want
hide
Chance to go
yourself,
and pass
Jeremy.
out or something like that, looking at my, aged skin here, like I am
Oh
an old man.
my gosh.
No, this
But,
isn't the like U.S. public
Jeremy,
education
I'm really keen to
system.
get into more of your poetry.
All right. So I'm gonna go to page 38. Here we go. Most of these are not titled, so this not titled. What is this thought worth? Only the paper and pen I recorded on and with, the computer I will later use to type it, the time it takes to explore it, is it worth a second thought? What is my time to see how much of it I've spent, wasted, copied, pasted, made for things, to see how much I have left? If I make more time, make a clock, make 10, is it worth more or less? Can I keep track? Will I ever know what all this is worth? And what of my body? Could you spend a sum of money, one night, one day with me? I've been offered offensive little, for my body is all that I have. That belongs entirely to me. Is it worth so little? My body, my time, my life, my thought, the next bargaining chip, band, temporary, safety, great things, a tick for all, things near and dear, on a punch clock, a countdown, a calendar, numbered, days and time worth the thought. Are they worth less than me? Less than a clock? A tick on a clock? What is this thought worth? A life, time. Oh,
I felt like I was holding my breath throughout that poem.
thanks.
You're welcome. I really thought I was holding my breath. It just, because it's kind of, it's very thought-provoking. And it's something that, like, we don't think of all the time. Rainier, could you mute your mic? And during Jack's poem, just muted because everybody's waking up over there in Bali apparently. But the way that the poem was not formatted, it built on that feeling. And that anxious feeling that we have sometimes when we're looking at the clock, we're looking at our skin, we're looking at the situations that we find ourselves in, we're looking at the people that are around us and whether they value us or they're using us. And all of those feelings is like that poem encapsulated some of the feelings that I had during this hurricane. Because you question everything. What is time worth? We're all sitting in the dark. We can't do anything. We cannot go anywhere. Um, what calls are important to me when my phone battery is dying?
Yeah.
I, I'd love to hear that read over someone sitting in the dark in a hopeless situation in a desolate place. And I would love to see kind of like a video, like maybe of you silhouetted, maybe like some curious scar or some light and a lot of darkness. And then at the end, maybe you smiling instead of sadness. It's like a realization that with everything that you've thought of that, because it felt like with everything there is a value that you contain, a value that your time contain, a value that the people around you contain, a value that they place on you, but more important, a value that you place on yourself. I'm
Yeah.
okay. I love your work. Okay, I have good.
Yeah. Unfortunately, unfortunately, thank you for that, Gemini. You did break up a few times for me in some of those crucial lines, so I'm definitely going to have to read that piece. Well, the whole book. I'll be placing my order very soon. But and thanks for the tip. Yes, you're right. They've been swimming here from 6:37 in the morning. They've been in the pool. That's how hot
Jeez.
it is. It's like
Mm.
it is like sauna. 6:30. The sun hasn't even risen. They're swimming. So, and I'm dying to jump in there myself just to cool off. But I will mute myself. Apologies, Jack, if there was interruptions during that recital. I will mute
Okay.
myself, and I might even turn my camera off. Number one, to save Chance's eyes, but secondly, it hopefully won't. My internet might not break up while you're reciting because I felt I missed a lot in that piece. So apologies.
No,
But
it's okay. Yeah, the nature of this online thing, it's beautiful because we can connect all around the world, and it's also,
Yes.
like there are these things out of our control. So no worries. It's all good. We're all here doing our best.
the what's next? Take us on that journey.
Well, I have
What's
one question about that poem.
Sure.
What did what did that poem stem from? Because everything stems from a well, a fountain, or an overflow of feelings or an experience.
Mm.
Uh-oh. Why you rubbed your face?
Yeah, I know. I'm just like thinking. I'm thinking about where it came from because it came from a time in my life when there was a lot of stuff going on. Um,
Ah, okay.
I think it was 2017 was when I wrote this, and there was like a big election that had happened, and like uh, things were swirling around, and I was really questioning where we were going and how
Mm.
we got here. And literally, I was like, you know, what is my voice like good for? I was also in a class. It was, the principles of principles of literary. Maybe it was just principles of literature, and I think that this was like, a prose focused class, whereas the other class is poetry. So this one was prose, and um, my professor, kind of like wooey wowie guy, he was like, "What is literature?" We're It was the first time that I thought of a science textbook as being literature in any
Oh,
capacity, or like a text message, a string of tweets, um, like capturing a story or whatever. And so I started to think of the written word as like all written words that are meant to convey, a message, a story, a string of events. All of that is literature.
jeez.
Um, and so, yeah, I felt my brain expanding, and this poem was the first poem that I wrote that I showed to people, like really willingly brought to people. And I said, I think I came up with something good. Like, I want to share this.
Oh,
Like, I
wow.
think this actually captures me a little bit. And it was I think the first poem that I knew was going into this book when I knew this book was coming together. Um, yeah, and it's my origin as a poet a little bit. This this most recent iteration. Um, but yeah, yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And wow, wow. And how was it received? How was the poem received when you shared it with whoever you shared it with?
That it was received well. Um, you know, definitely. I think that I shared it with the one professor, um, the class that was like exploding my brain at the time. And he was like, this is good, keep it up. My dad does his best to be supportive, but has no detailed feedback. So he's just like, this is the best thing you've ever written. And I'm like, okay, great, Dad. Like, let me pile that on top of all the 50 other times you've said, quote, this is the best
The
thing you've
best
ever
thing you
written,
ever.
end quote. And,
Well, it's the best
just
thing you've
log it.
ever written. It's the best thing you ever written since the last best thing you ever written.
Right.
Oh,
So it's really like the best thing you've written to date, up to this point. And you're gonna write something better, Jeremy. And I'm like,
oh
okay.
my
If
God.
it were all that, then maybe I would be like, okay, yeah, Dad, thanks so much. But he
But we
doesn't
don't
he
believe him
doesn't
until
get
somebody else says
yeah,
it, though.
yeah, he doesn't get the entirety of that thought out. He's just like, really good. Or he'll say to me too, you have to print that out and put it on my desk because I have to
Oh,
read it. I'm like,
that is
okay.
so sweet, though. It is so adorable.
Yeah,
Oh
it
my
does
gosh.
show the desire to be attentive. Um,
Oh.
Whatever.
Jack,
Jeremy, I want some detailed feedback.
I do. I want notes. I want bullet points of the things that you thought were good, the things that you think could be stronger. Where's the word choice a little spotty for you? Like, tell me, Dad.
Yeah, but he's not the person for that. He's the person for like this
Unconditional.
unconditional. Oh my gosh. I like that though.
Yeah.
Jack,
Yeah.
word of advice, mate. Listen to everybody, like the academics, family, friends, so forth. But at the end of the day, never stop being you because you are a beautiful soul. That's evident. People who look and I see and keep being you, brother. Certainly listen and what feels right incorporate into you, but be you. You leave
Yeah.
you leave a lot for you leave a lot for people to aspire to, and you leave a lot for to be proud of as well. You really do.
Yeah. I've
Yeah.
learned at this point, I have no choice but to be me. I've tried to be a lot of other people, and it didn't work out,
Yeah.
man. Oh my gosh.
Been
Did not
there,
work
did
out
that.
well. So we're in a space now. I'm full ownership of all the quirks and eccentricities. I am full self. Thank you. Thank you. I take that reminder and I carry it with me. I appreciate it.
Beautiful. Now you said you were angsty as a teenager. Do you have any angsty poems that you'd like to share with us?
Sure, 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 sure. Let's get a little
Hey.
angst out here.
Gemini
And
always wants the deeper, darker, stuff
I
hidden
don't
in the
want the
closets.
deeper, darker. He said he was angsty, and I can relate to that. So I want to hear an angsty piece.
yeah, I will say um I don't have any of the stuff from when I was an angsty teen. All that got destroyed. Um,
We'll not go
but
back there. They did not understand, and that's okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But I do have some angsty stuff from, I'm also an angsty adult because the adult was built on top of the angsty teen.
Good.
Was built on top of this, very, very idealistic, positive, like affirmative of everybody child. Like
Mm.
the child is
Wow.
pure dream, and then it gets really kind of like the dream gets twisted around, and then you have this amalgamation of gray that I currently exist in. And I think that I'm spiraling into like a little bit of a colorful something or
So
other. But
you just
this is angsty teen channeled through the adult.
oh,
Yes.
I say you just had me imagine a castle. The bottom of the castle is like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. Then you have the angsty teen, the bricks just start getting a little darker. Then you go into this really dark and then gray, and then it's now colorful at the top. Okay,
Honestly, yeah. Well, I have another one that I can read, but I'll get to that
awesome.
after. Okay, so
So I'll
here we
let you
go.
read.
This is title America, a Portrait. Portable instant death machines soon order remote by tapping screens. Simple, convenient, effective, efficient. For safety and freedom, there's no other mission. Struggling up from the bottom line, turn from the truth. It's dying time. The thing that we fear, we bring on quicker. Cure for the illness? Try getting sicker. Not enough money, discounted price. First broken, order it thrice. Just to be safe. You'll soon be told we're labeled as lazy, but that's how we're sold. If you are frightened, yes, wait, look here. Get one yourself. Misuse it in fear. The hills that we die on with guns in hand. Free is our nation, except for the land.
Ah,
Poem.
I like the fact that gun was only mentioned in the last portion of the poem, but I knew exactly what you were talking about. And I like the rhyme scheme in that as well, because
Yeah,
it had a taste of satire in
yeah,
there.
yeah. Decided to pull out the Willie Shakespeare sonnet kind of like iambic pentameter kind of rhythm to it. You know, this is my romantic poem for the U.S.
Damn.
Love Jack.
That Gemini, you're spot on. The whole cadence to it, the rhyme scheme, it was everything. It really was good, and short, sweet, and suited. And again, your recital really suited that piece as well. And turning off my camera did help. I actually heard every word of that poem, so
Yay.
Yes.
that was beautiful, man. Yeah, really well
Perfect.
it was. Yeah. And
Yeah, thank you. What were we gonna say?
I was going to say, Gemini, thank you. I've been keeping myself on mute as much as I can with the background noise and all that, but thank you for your your expounding off that piece was spot on. It really was.
You're welcome.
Really, but the whole recital, it could even border on even to a limerick, even, you know what I mean, to a sonnet, to it was. Love the rhyme scheme in that.
Yeah, and I feel like too, yeah, uh, I have so much stuff that is like self-exploration and this, that, and the other thing, and it really this book is kind of, you know, personal in that way, but there are these bigger color guard instructors during one of the years that I was involved in one, one organization back in the day. Um, I found out that in later years he was teaching at Parkland High School, and there was a school shooting there, and one of his kids, one of the members of his color guard, was killed
Ah,
in that shooting. And it hit home for me because that's literally my color guard instructor losing his kid. And I thought about my kids, you know, and like when they're in those rooms, they don't have a parent, they have me, you know, and just for them to open up about their anxieties, um, and some of them are like, they have a class that's taking care of kindergartners and they have to practice like lockdown stuff with their kindergartners. And it's like, what is going on here? And it's just, so it's a topic that it's close to home. The Pulse shooting, also terrible shooting. I mean, like we could go on about it, like, like the number of identities of people that I relate to, and they're on the victim end of these things. It's really, really sad. And I feel like all I feel all of it, and it's
overwhelming
you know,
sometimes.
yeah, it's hot. It's like yeah. But thank you for asking for the angst because I think that it's an important thing, I like to keep it light and keep it fun, but it is important to acknowledge, the full spectrum things that are going on currently and that have happened in the past. Geez Louise.
Yeah. No, you're good. I think that's part of you as well, because our environment um impresses upon us as far as our character and our full life experience. And this is your life experience in a place where you see things that you cannot control, and you express feelings that a lot of us have. So thank you so much for writing that and for sharing it.
And also, thank you for actually even expounding on that narrative as well, because for us in my part of the world, life in the US is pretty alien. So it's really like our minds can't even begin to comprehend. So hearing that from both of you really helps us to understand life from your eyes, even to a minuscule degree. So it really is. So as I said, you said it before, somebody in the UK, somebody in Europe, people in Australia, right, anywhere. I came here to see my illustrator and a couple of poets I know here in Bali as well. That's my reason for being here. These people could listen to it, and life here is very different, very even more gentle and quite spiritual. You walk on the footpaths, there's all these spiritual offerings to the gods and things like that, which is even another level to what Australia is like. So sharing what life is through your eyes, you don't know who can hear this, and it helps us to understand what life is like in your part of the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
And there are beautiful parts of it too. Um,
Yeah.
uh, you know, I actually will, I feel like I gotta show you, I write about all these difficult things and it's like, how do I get through it? And currently, oh, it's raining. But this is my view out the window here
Oh
of
my
Denver.
gosh.
And like way off in the distance, you get like a little bit of
The
mountain.
mountains.
Yeah, like very little bit. But I there's some beautiful stuff too. And I live right by this highway. I get all the traffic noise. It's really great. But I also get the benefit of night and day just being constantly reminded that people are journeying. Like people are on journeys and they're doing all kinds of things. Like some of these people are going to work. Some of these people might be going to weddings. Some of them might be going to, like births, funerals, visiting family, visiting friends, going to the bar to like meet a date, going to like hook up. There are all these things that are going on constantly. And I feel like it's important to, if we just have this moment to recognize the darkness, also recognize that, for the most part, people are just living their
Yeah.
lives. And so, it's spooky, but America is not, there are definitely some beautiful things here.
There are some there are some beautiful people as well. More than anything, there are so many beautiful people.
Oh yeah.
And everything you said sounded like a prompt to an individual poem.
Now, Jack, you mentioned talking about beautiful people. You did mention you have recently moved to Denver in Colorado, correct?
Yeah.
Now,
Yes.
there is a beautiful soul that lives in Colorado Springs. Some will say the better half of the John Chance and the Midnight Team. It's Philip Curtis. He lives in Colorado Springs, man, and he is a beautiful soul. So is
Oh,
Chance, by
he's
the way.
amazing.
Although he has a shot at my tank top, he is a beautiful soul. But we've got to connect you with Philip Curtis. He really is. We actually connected when I was recently in New York, and meeting him was a highlight of my trip. So, a highlight. I met Tanika and a few others there. Met
Mm.
LaBelle and
Oh
a few
yeah.
other people.
Tanika, Incredible, Lobel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I met them recently at the retreat, the poetry retreat.
yes.
Oh, you got up
Such a
there.
good
I
time.
didn't get
Yeah.
there. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I could have met you.
So
Yes.
we got to connect you with Philip Curtis or Midnight OO, I think is his handle. We got to connect you with him. He's actually in your neck of the woods now.
All right. Yeah, sounds good. I'm definitely trying to, like, now that I've gotten settled, I have most of my furniture for my room. You know, I had the trip back home, did the retreat, all that stuff. So I'm kind of back and I've gotten settled again. I'm ready to, I think, start to expand and try to connect to the writers out here. So definitely forward that information. I'm on it. Like I'm ready. Let's get it going. Yeah, I appreciate that.
We'll definitely hook you up with Philip. He's an amazing man. And yeah,
Yes, yes,
what's next? Now
definitely.
we've got about 25 minutes left, so go for it.
Okie
Off
dokie.
25 minutes left of this episode. As I
Yeah.
said, this is just only the first.
Um, oh man. There's this heavy piece. We'll get into it. I think that it's oh gosh. Yeah, we'll get into it. Yeah. So this is called Down Memory Lane. Memory is a suburban street, secrets housed in silent walls. History, her story, my story, a mystery up till now. I speak for the walls, which would speak for me. 31 Memory Lane. Window throws dazzling image. Christmas lights, white. Walking back home from open mic. Chest clenched. Cold grips lungs. And I flash further back. 4 Memory Lane. Asthma, choked throat. Reach for familiar leather palm. Hairy knuckles. Daddy? Safety. 'Twas the night before holiday tree, seasonal allergy centerpiece choking. Me and tree both, nearly dying, all alone. I, not quite. Cut off from roots, like she. 15 months old, choking for air, no one there but pneumonia in mid of night, to hold her tight. No one to spank the light back into her eyes. 6 Memory Lane. My dad only spanked me once, I remember. In his eyes, daring. A hex on your mother, spitting curses. So much frustration behind that hand. Reaches red, pulls, face beat red. Pulls, safe, from under feet like a rug. Gravity, compounded weight. Already incomparable force. Father's rage straight into contact with skin. Which of us wondered who would win? I stare at the barrel. It never blinks. Down it. 19 Memory Lane. Down city streets. Catch insults in teeth like bullets, spit out like pills. Hold sobs in Adam's big apple, lodged. Emotions grab chokehold. Anger ricochets off fear in my armored skin, strong through wear. Wears household staples. Fag boy, playa, nigga. Like symbols could deflect pain with intellectualized labels. Sissy fist, romantophile, universalite. 24 Memory Lane. Rawway rallies against anti-gay rhetoric. Makes no excuses, no apologies. 6 Memory Lane. Hands leather straps. Ringing for apology, that open palm on my bare ass tells me, this is what love I have to give you now. This is the lesson you must learn of my love, that to disobey an order, to speak without thinking, to speak without thinking, to speak without thinking. 32 Memory Lane. No hands beat me now when I speak without thinking. They embrace me. He did his best to embrace me, too. 1950 to 1960 Memory Lane. He learned this lesson from his parents. Act now, apologize never. If you show your weakness, they will see through your lies, tyrannize. So spank without thinking, spank without thinking, spank without thinking. Show them your strength. Oh, black man. How I miss the silent figure. 20 memory lane. Rocking, watching baseball. Not enough skill anymore to put into words what he needs help for. And I reach up on the fridge. He puts a spoon into nutty mixture, his desire fulfilled at last, or mine. And just in time before he passed, I finally got to understand him. How I miss the tiny figure, 26 memory lane, used to tower over me too, now long since turned to dust. Forgot my name, like I blacked out from memories. 5 memory lane, leather belts across my bare ass, wooden spoons across my bare ass. 14 to 28 memory lane, anything but loving words against my bare ass. 8 and 22 memory lane, those hips I never asked for, against my bare ass. Are those the ones I crave now? Before memory lane. Ricocheting like bullets through his body, lessons he transformed for me. Like he was wrung for every ounce of disobedience by his parents. The times. 1 to 32 memory lane. My dad only did once with his hand. Many times with words, whipping my soul out of shape, my outward appearance into it. Get down, you will crack your neck, not mine to crack. Get down, you will break your arm, not mine to break. Get down, you will die, like her. The game is over. The closest thing I will ever get to owning, hanging at the top of the pine. Get down. Always a reminder. I never knew what for until. This body is for rent only. I'm not even the lessee. Guarantor's words tower over me. Well-meaning wishes hidden at rock bottom, every piece of advice, their shine caked grime. Leaves me still to interpret in this global gulag, with neither ledger, map, nor key. My father is alive, though any hope, I fear, a connection died with my sister. Buried in the ground will not make a sound. That connection might be a seed, though my eyes are not equipped for the wavelength of light it captures, reflects. I write rules for myself now. Old ones once learned are all fucked, and I am tired of being fucked. I'm tired of being beaten by my self-love. Why did I self-harm as a teen? Why do I self-harm now? What does it mean? That I cannot put my trauma down except on paper. Is this healing? I try to love myself. It comes out in warnings too. Look out for death, for loved ones, for yourself. How can I look at this all to see it from my side? I know now why I must look out for myself. Walking down memory lane. Poem.
Dude, you're gonna make me cry. Can't do this to me.
Jack, I have heard you recite that previously on one of my lives, and this time it gave me an opportunity to really expect what was coming as well. So I heard so much more in it. Man, that was heartfelt. That really was, and that was raw authenticity. That was raw truth, and that was raw reality for many. That really was, and you encapsulated the feeling from the child, from the person within so well. It was phenomenal.
Thank you.
That really reflects a lot of who you are and your authenticity.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, oh, geez, Louise. I feel like,
If
sometimes I feel like the walking embodiment of like, you never know what people's stories are, you never know what people come from. Um, and,
it,
I try to definitely give that same courtesy back to other people of, not making assumptions and knowing that we can all experience some tough stuff.
Yeah.
if it
Yeah.
if it was in my power to get a copy of that piece or your book to every person that has been through, lived through, or living in a dysfunctional situation, or where they can glean the essence of that poem, I would do it.
Mm.
And the world's full of it, not just in one place, globally, the world's full of it.
Yeah, this global gulag, and
Yeah.
none of us have a ledger, map, or key, It's
If you were
it's
to
wild.
look to the subcontinent, there's so many people that are kept repressed through cultural beliefs that are hundreds of years outdated.
Mm.
So it's not just the brutal side of dysfunctionality. The number of people who believe that they're doing the right thing and in that righteousness
Right.
that are keeping their kids repressed in many ways, very common through the subcontinent and countries like where I am right now.
Mm.
In a very different way, there's no physical abuse, but that cultural sort of stigma that's driven down where people
Yeah.
aren't allowed to. It's like me getting a bud of one of these flowers from behind me and putting it in a jar and not allowed to blossom.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
happens so much. And my
Yeah.
God, if I can get a copy of that and place in every parent's hand globally, God's would answer my prayers. That's how much power that peace brings.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I definitely. And the thing is too that my parents, my whole family is like sheer love.
Mm, mm,
Um, and even within that, there's this twisting and um, the stuff that gets really just handed down and handed down and handed down, and it's like we're all left to try to do better. And my dad did so much better than his parents could do for him, and his parents did
mm,
better than before. And, growth, but also saying like, okay, how do I hold a line for myself? How do I make sure that, you know, physically in certain instances or mentally, emotionally, spiritually that I'm protecting myself, that I'm being there for myself and recognizing, you know, the stuff that I've gone through. I think that, there are times, I was talking to my roommate recently just about how for our parents it's very difficult to even like talk to them about our experiences being their children and like what it was like to have them as
Yeah.
a parent, because the second that it's not like a glowing report, they think that it's an attack. And for me, something that I think that I can do a better job of is to be very cognizant of the fact that it's a still living relationship that can grow from us recognizing the previous shortcomings on both ends. For me as a child, like what did I fail to take away that like my parents were really like giving, just offering, and I couldn't even see it. I was just like, what is this? Bah, bah. Like advice, help, affection, attention? No, like this isn't taking the form I want. So I can't see it. I
Mm.
can't receive it. How do I work on that? And in the same way, like how do I get my parents to, see my side of it? See that, I want us to continue to thrive and grow and build a more deep connection, which I think that it's more like it's possible, I think, so much in my family. And it's already very much there, but to bring an awareness to some of the stuff that like, why does my family have such an emphasis on family? And I think that, losing a member of our family, an infant, my sister my mom losing her daughter, my dad losing his daughter, both my siblings, all of us kind of going through that,
Mm-hmm.
recognize that, you know, we can love each other all we want, and it doesn't keep us here forever. It doesn't keep us together forever.
It
And
doesn't.
um, it's something that I feel underneath, but I would like to bring it to the forefront more. Um, it's one of those things I think that gets stuck in me a little bit.
Well, I have to commend you, your bravery for sitting with each version of yourself. Because every time, the first time you said memory lane, I thought that was maybe one or two, but when you talked about the child version of yourself and being pulled from under the bed, when you talked about your sister, and it's like I got a clip of your life at each age and of that experience, and some of them I can relate to. And being able to sit with those versions of yourself and to express those feelings, that imagery so well, and just being able to read it and share it, even just write it down. But what you said about taking your 9-year-old self and sitting them on one side of you, and taking your 19-year-old self and sitting on the other side of you, and you in the middle, it shows in this poem. It shows that it can actually be done. It shows that it's actually worth it. I am so happy for you that you were able to sit with those versions of yourself, people in your past and present, and to even have so much compassion for your father and for your mother, and recognize that your family is still full of love, even with all of those things you experienced. So I'm happy for you, and I'm grateful for this poem, that you allowed it to come through, and then you were brave enough to share it with everybody. Now I'm
Yeah.
crying.
And are you ready for this? This is the poem that Jolene, my editor, she said, we can't work on this together until you work on this like on your own. This is so close. I can't touch it right now, you know. And she was like, take it, sit with it. And I did a lot of work because what it looked like before this was not at all like this. But
And I love the
this
fact
is
it
this
doesn't
is
go
that
in
piece.
I
Yeah.
love it doesn't go in chronological order, because it's like, because memory does not come in chronological order. It could be something that ignites a memory or triggers a memory, whether good or bad, a scent, um, the way someone hugs you or holds your hand, someone brushing past you, just
Mm.
touching fabric, just everything. The 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 inflections in someone's voice when they say something. It's everything. So I love the way that it was put together. It was not in chronological order. It was everything that we, and this is where your psychological background, your music background, like really digs in, because it influences your writing, because it influences you as a person. But this is a treasure, the way that it was put together. Okay, I'm done now.
So, Jeremy, we've got about 10 minutes left, so I'm really looking forward to this closing piece. But before we go there, you hit one key thing there. Sometimes, quite often, even as parents, we do things thinking we're doing it through love, but we've got to stop and think, is it transitioning to what the best outcome? Is it transitioning in the name of love? Are we doing the best for our children or for our neighbors, for our partners, for our spouses? So that's very key. Quite often people do things under the context of love, but misguided. The there's been some amazing people that have come in and out of this room, Jeremy, which is a reflection of how valued you are within the community and how respected you are within the community. I will also DM you to get your PayPal details and all because I want to order your book, but I'll DM you and work out how's the best way to for me to pay you.
Okay.
And also when you're giving me a price, factor in the postage because quite often when I send my books overseas, the postage costs more than the actual damn books. So I've
Yeah.
factored in. I'm happy to pay you for because the postage will cost a bit to Australia.
Okay.
But we'll talk about that. But thank you to all the audience who's coming in and out to support Jack on this on his feature here. And your contributions and your comments, your attendance really helps the featured guests to really show more of themselves. So thank you to you all. And Jeremy, getting to know you more intimately as a person and your work on this show has been a phenomenal experience. It certainly filled my heart with joy. It really has, and I'm sure it has to Gemini as well. And Gemini, I'm so glad. I cannot thank the gods enough that you could make it. I know you yourself have been through a lot in the last couple of weeks, and not knowing if your power was going to be on, if your internet was going to hold, everything. Honestly, having you on today, I'm so glad that Jeremy was able to have the pleasure of you also hosting here, and I'm also glad that you had the pleasure of getting to know this side of Jeremy firsthand. The gods have been kind. And if you can see the sun, I'm starting to roast here even more. The sun's coming up now.
You see, in rotisserie, you have to remember to flip over. You're gonna burn on one side.
Yeah.
So, Jeremy, before you give us your closing piece, is there a love poem that you may have?
Yeah, I can I can toss out a love poem. Here we
All right.
go.
We've got about 10, maximum 15 before I need to do screen recording, so go for it.
Okay, here we go.
Don't forget to flip over.
Um, Here we go. Untitled piece. Love is not all that matters in the world twirling in circles. Life is bliss with friends when conversation never ends. This sensation, camaraderie. I sink into bed with thoughts and jokes. The night in my head. I can fall asleep alone and still feel at home, with blankets warmed by my body. My body. It's fine to feel good. Feels like it should when I'm warm under covers. Have all the pillows to myself. Flip them, swap to always feel cool. Never worry about waking you. Yet. Your skin warms something deeper than these covers ever could. Some chord struck between our souls allows me to feel whole. I own not if not your admiration, titillating conversation, conversing over versus whether we know where this goes or go with the flow, moving still, but slow, opening ourselves to explore corners of one another's minds. Yours more beautiful than any sunset these eyes have ever seen, than the green leaves of spring, so vibrant, glows brighter than full moon, blue supermoon, even in this darkened room. Little spoon. Curtains pulled closed. Your body pulled close. My arm around you, your hand over mine. Close in body, close in spirit. No clothes, close under covers, little spoon. Close to you. No. Love is not all that matters of to mind, more than matters to of heart. Your mind, your matter, you matter to me. Poem.
I knew I was going to love it. That was beautiful.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Amazing, Jeremy. Amazing. Brother, I'm looking forward to hearing this closing piece. Again, thank you. And thank you, Gemini. Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you to the audience. I really don't want to have the screen record this and do injustice to this whole feature. So let's go. Let's go with your closing piece.
Okay. This is called Processing Love, More Fiction Than Fact. Oh, Processing Love, More Fiction Than Fact. Here we go. Where did she go? The little boy asked. 5 days ago he turned 4. It seemed life was to promise her more. When he blew out the candles, he never knew his wish for her pain to end would fin like this. She's up in heaven, his mother said. She may be gone, but she's far from dead. And the concept sent reeling his tiny head. Decades mulling, decades pulling at every answer to get to knowing truth. It all comes clear as the end draws near for him. She was never gone. She was in the air. She was in the flowers. She was always there. She was in the rain and in the ocean and in the love of every motion of baking cakes just as 5, far from whole but still alive, dancing and singing to skipping records in every love stitch and patchwork checker. She is in the butterflies and in my hair. She is everything and everywhere. Poem.
I knew that word was coming. I saw your
Butterflies.
butterflies. Okay. Made me cry again.
That's really encapsulated all that you are, Jeremy. It really is a very fitting closing piece. Brother, I think there's a lot more to you, and I definitely think there's room for a part 2. We'll work on that. We'll communicate and get onto
Sounds
that.
good.
And now you've got my wonderful co-host there, a blubbering mess there as
Yeah,
well.
we
I
gotta
have.
call a plumber. The faucet is a little leaky.
I
That'll
think I
teach her
just
to
sprung
talk to
a
me about.
leak.
That'll teach her to have a shot at me about being basted correctly on both sides. So
I was only thinking about you. You don't want to come home like one of those stick figures. You turn around, those paper figures turn around one way, it's one color. Just turn around. It's going to be fine.
honestly, oh my goodness, I can see half-naked bodies walking in the background here as well.
I didn't
Jeremy,
see any. Could you pan the camera? Any guys?
Yeah, right. I am single.
So am
It's been about
I.
a year or so. So, I'm feeling like the waters. I could swim. I could tread.
Yeah. So a year, like 6, 7. So if you could pan the camera around to the pool area for me, a little
Let's
bit
see the
taller,
buffet.
a little.
people are enjoying a
Excellent.
buffet breakfast there. I'm sure my son's a typical 27-year-old. He could eat the crutch off a low-flying duck at any time, so I'm sure he's starving in there as well. Um, uh,
I've never heard that.
That's wild.
you want to come down to Australia? We've got plenty of sayings like that here, or I have. Uh, so I'm sure he's saying, Dad, have you finished yet? Are we going to go and feed ourselves? But Jeremy, it really has been a pleasure, my friend. And I don't think this hour and 3/4 or hour and 50 minutes has done it justice. But we will be in touch. When I post this, I'll add you as a collaborator so you can share this on your page. Next week
Okay.
when I'll get home, I'll create the YouTube and the Spotify podcast, and I'll send you the links. Feel free to use it as you wish on your website, etc. So
Awesome.
thank you, brother. Thank you very much. It's been a
Yeah.
pleasure and an
Thank you.
honor getting to know you so much more.
Yeah. Thank you for the
Thank you.
space. Appreciate you both.
Thank you, Bowser.
Thank you. Thank you. Bowser, Jack, Jeremy, all of the trades are signing off. Take care.
Thank
Okay, thank
you,
you, my
folks.
love. I'll
Thank
be
you,
in touch.
everybody. Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you, Gemini. Gemini, stay safe, stay blessed. Thoughts and prayers are with you
Thank you.
as you. Sometimes the cleanup's more than the actual event, right? The event lasts a few hours, but then the cleanup goes on for weeks
Oh,
and months
yeah.
ahead, right? So, yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Have a good day.
Stay blessed.
Likewise. Ciao.